I'm here again. F.A. Chekki painting my ships, painting my pier, my docks. You seen my paintings, haven't you? I hope so. I hope you've been watching lately. Gotta wear this today. Oh boy, do I feel great. I feel like I'm in my element again. And I'm gonna show you a thing or two. Lads and lasses, I'm gonna teach you a little painting. Oh boy, mates. Oh boy, what a week. What a week, what a week, what a week. Here in the art of F.A. Chekki, we got to move on to episode 5 at some point. And, you know, this is my next sequence in this seaside citadel piece. If you've been watching it all, I want to paint the ships. I want to do an episode focusing on the first ship on the left. We'll start with the left, go to the right. The right's a bigger ship. Left, smaller ship. 2 different class ships. One probably be more, I think, is going to be a smaller class merchant vessel. One just going to be a much larger class merchant vessel with some cannon doors and such. And that was probably an awful pirate impersonation, but I'm having fun. I'm wearing my pirate stuff today, and why not? I mean, why not? Do some painting as such, and I'm looking at the piece right now. I'll give you a few shots here in just a moment, but we're 3 months into this seaside port. I call it a seaside citadel because there's this large cathedral-like thing in the background, church, chapel on the left, kind of a city port. Old and new world combined, and I'm going to show you where I've come on the video. Lots of touch-ups to do. This is not over for a while. Got to do the ships, got to do the water. Do the ships first, because my hands might be in the water, a little area there, and I don't want to smudge anything, because water painting, you want to leave it. Don't touch it. Some little tiny things are so perfect, you don't want to touch and smear them. So I do have hand rests and things like that, so I want to show you a little tool. You can buy nicer ones of these. I just made this thing, and the rope just goes onto the top of the canvas and ties in if I want to hold it down or anchor. It's not very big. It's not the most stable. They make much more stable things than this. But I try to be light with my hands. It's all about the brush strokes in the end. So I got that. And let me see here. Some grog. There you have a little bit of your grog. That's good. Get ready to paint. I'm going to light the Bob Ross candle here in just a sec. Get started. And I'm just telling you right now, I'm so into this piece that I can't wait to be done, but I'm happy to do it. I'm still, the ships are like my favorite part. A lot of architecture here I've been working on, but the ships are me passion, mates. Enough of that. Okay, let me light the candle and let's get started painting. Okie dokie. Key to Bob Ross's soul. Yeah, that was pretty lame. Sorry. We're getting real here now, folks. We're getting so real here. Oh, gotta light the candle. Gotta light it in a non-conventional like way. Oh, here it is. Gotta eventually get a Holy Santo. They make these Holy Santos Bob Ross candles. I'm gonna get one of those. But our little ritual is over. Got this new little thing up here, like that too. We aren't gonna light that candle today. We'll save that for a special occasion. Let a good angle here. I'll tell you what, I'm sweating like a sow on this thing. I'll be taking it off. Yeah, this thing is super hot, and it's Texas weather. Very warm. Leave me shirt on. All right, that looks like a pretty good little angle there. I'm gonna kind of move it in a little bit this way. There we go. Was that gonna make it kind of tough for me to fit my hand in there, but oh well. I want the camera up close, give you a good shot, kind of see where some things are at here. I'm gonna work here from this side, which is normally kind of nice to have a change of perspective on it, I guess. Those of you, very few people, my very small fan pool, been watching this. Probably seen some of the progress in here. So why don't we get started? I think the best place to start here in the back, you're just going to see some of the basic stuff. And I want to just show some techniques when you're painting something of this sort. Always have your ruler ready, your straight edge, which is basically, I use this, one of these deals. Pretty simple. And I'm gonna have to go back through, and as we get to the top of the ship in here, redo some of this. And this is acrylic paint. I did go back through some of this before because of the white paint going on there. I'll probably touch in there a little bit more, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's do a little bit of that here first. Whenever you get into one of these, these more detailed things. Now, some people just free paint it. That's cool. That's their technique. That's their style. Let's focus back on that. So I'm not free painting it. I like to use acrylics underneath. A lot of artists do. It allows you to, I think, a little bit more flexibility with what you're doing. Wobble, wobble, wobble. Okay, there we go. All right, got a little black acrylic paint here. Man, that stuff from earlier still alive. It's not all dry. Can you believe it? Shut up, SpongeBob. All right. All this pirate stuff make me think of SpongeBob SquarePants. I love that cartoon. I miss the fact that they don't make it anymore. So I'm going up in here and kind of having to fix a few things, bearing in mind where I need straight lines, very straight lines. They were pre-established actually on here before, so it makes it a little bit easier, but where I can adjust is very minimally. Based on what's already there, okay? This mast here would be the least probably, no, I think the middle one's the thickest. Probably the least blurred by the sun in front. And what I say by that blur, okay, when you have very intense light, what that tends to do, like you see here, all this white light in there, what this intense light tends to do is blur lines a little bit. It's more just because you have so much intensity of light coming through. It creates an illusion to the eyes, unless you filter it, right? If you filter it, then you see, so wear sunglasses, right? And then you see it better, right? Now, if I make a little tiny mistake and error like that, which you may or may not be able to see, as I'm painting a little bit different than I normally do, you should have your knife ready. Your painter's knife, whatever you use. Because I'll show you a little trick. That line there is just slightly off right here near the sun. And that's okay, because I'm going to have, I'll just take the edge of my knife and not have a heart attack at all. Because, there's some white paint in there, and just scrape it all off. And we don't have to have an adult meltdown at all, like Bob Ross says. Only happy accidents with you and your paint. No, he didn't sing it like that. I don't have I guess I'm kind of like the painter with a little bit more anxiety than Bob Ross. I love watching it. Could calm me down. That dude was so calm. I don't know how he maintained his calmness, but he did. Okay, as you can see here, if you're having difficulty maintaining a straight line with this is a very fine brush. If you're having any difficulty whatsoever, just loosen it up a little bit. With acrylics, of course, using water. Loosen up the paint. Oils, use your either thinner oil or like a linseed or various oils that they make that are clear oils, liquid clears, whatever they have at most of the paint stores, or you can order online nowadays, a lot of it, just to help it flow a little bit more. But the very easy thing about acrylic, the one ingredient that doesn't really cost you anything except for your water bill, but you don't need very much. Nothing in life is free, my friends. Well, water feels free some days, I guess, because you're not seeing the cost. But going to the painting store and spending 20 bucks on some oil for a bigger thing of it, I suppose, sure as heck feels like you're spending money then. So what I'm doing here again is just kind of redefining some of these lines. I already had put in some details, and we lost some, and why, if you're wondering why, is because like I went over this spot here again behind with the sun, and I'm going to do a little bit more after these acrylics dry, because once I'm on this piece here, I don't want to be messing too much with the sun. I want all my acrylic dry, firm, paint, so I could paint over it very easily. It'll be a lot easier. Okay, fill the silence. And okay, this one here, you can see where the sail underneath is probably going to shadow a little bit, and that's fine. These sails underneath are going to allow me some opportunities to do some correction, because there are some sails there, so subtly seen in there, painted a while back. But even as we get into these top masts that are very thin masts, we're talking at great distances. You do need to add, and I'm on oil right there, so I just want to mention something here. When you're painting thinned out acrylic on oil, don't expect it to stick very easily. Okay, you just have to be very patient with it, because I repeat, I do not want too much on these lines, and I almost can't even talk. Sometimes when I paint, it's kind of funny. Maybe some of you out here that paint and have to do something really concentrate. I'm like, I'm holding my breath. I'm holding my breath. Ooh, I went a little thick right there, but that's okay. At the bottom of the mast, it's gonna have a little thickness anyways. And this line, this mast here needed a little bit more anyway. That's fine. The top had to be rather thin. The one below it needs a little bit more patience though. And like I said, if you need your straight edge, this might save you a headache. I don't know how wet I am there. We're gonna be real careful. Well, I pointed out the straight edge. Now the straight edge is not an end all be all. It's just a guide, and you gotta be very careful because the paint can still seep under the crack, okay? But that just gave me a guide where I'm really happy. I'm happy I'm painting right now. To be honest with you, I had a really not so great week. Nothing that bad. Nothing to talk about in particular with y'all. Just to leave it general. Had a really Bad weekend, bad week last week. Been doing a little more painting on my staycay at home. But I wanted to bring that up, something up. I talk about Bob Ross, but he's not the only one. A lot of painters talk about the joy of painting in their own way. Ross was very vocal about it all the time. It's your own little world. It's where you can go to get away from everything. And you know the whole story if you watched his shows. And I'm not trying to be like a Bob Ross painter. I like painting like him sometimes, like just to kind of paint something in a shorter duration using some of his techniques. I just want to paint something for fun. But anyway, what I really love about him was him. And I posted recently on Facebook a little story about him. And, you know, he never made his fortunes off of his paintings, I don't think. It was the deal with Michaels, I think, that got him and his family and estate some money. He donated a lot of his money from the paintings. I think earlier on before PBS, he had to sell art to live. I mean, that was a lot of artists are working jobs. But he was in the Air Force for a while, a medical records clerk, I believe. Not a guy that flew planes, I don't think. Just a clerk. Maybe he did at one point. I don't know. But he was in Alaska, learned painting, I guess, up there, or taught himself. I don't know. But what made him an incredible person was just his true heart. And that's why I love the guy so much. Is not... I'll be honest, a lot of the painting that I study is not his stuff anymore. I looked at a lot of his paintings, and I've tried to mimic his stuff before to some extent. But he's just one artist I just love. I just love him. And there's nothing wrong with that appreciation, even though in terms of fine art and famous artwork, you know, Bob Ross, his paintings are beautiful. I'm not saying he didn't paint wonderful things. What I'm saying is, like, in the art world, Bob Ross doesn't have that type of recognition as like a Rembrandt or something like that. So I'm just saying he is famous for his show and his techniques and his personality. A lovely, wonderful personality that captivated people like myself that just liked art and wanted to learn, and we're young, and you're like, here's this guy with a big old afro, and it's like he's talking about just how fun it is and how much joy he got out of it. And I'm like, well, heck, if he loves it so much, there must be a reason why. And I like art, so I want to see what Ross talking about. So I'm kind of just going back through where I've already laid in some lines and had to reestablish some of the basic form and shape here that will eventually be overlaid with oils. So just kind of giving you a little walkthrough on this here. It does look cool having silhouette. Don't get me wrong. Silhouette is very nice, and the reason why this piece is darker is because we have direct sunlight coming from right behind that lighthouse, which is now illuminated. If you can see it up there, right there, has some illumination and some glow because you have this light behind there. I'm going to amplify that light at some point. I kind of had to let a little bit of this dry out. This is oils back there, and I have to go back over that because I've smudged some, working on some various things there. That hill's kind of a pain, just because I'm still getting the light right on that hill back there near the church, the chapel. And so, you know, I kind of work in my own method to my own madness, whatever stage I'm in. But if I see something, I'll work on it. But when I work the church, I'm like, I got to work my way down. I got to do the lighthouse. And then once I got on the lighthouse, I was like, okay, well, that hill needs to get picked out as far as I need to work it and make it fit the piece. And this is not a this does not fit into the realm of realism. Okay, realism, hyper realism is a different style of painting. I picked a style on this piece. It's not what I would call realism. It's very I want it to be more fantasy-like. In my posts on Facebook, I explained that, and I want it to look like, in the end, something you might see on a video game or something, you know, like a big old cityscape, seascape on like some epic game, like Assassin's Creed or something. Lots of different inspirations. That fantasy, it was one though, and I really do love fantasy genre quite a bit. So that helped get the creative juices flowing on this. And then I looked at a number, just seaport, lots of seaport paintings, and then just kind of got an idea what I want to do. So, you know, I'm borrowing little things here and there from what I've seen. It's not 100% all my idea, because obviously the idea of a seaport is not original in and of itself. I mean, there's been seaports all painted many times, and there's seaports around the world, but there's no seaport, I think, that looks quite like this, exactly like this. I mean, there might be something that looks similar to it, so in some ways. I don't know, I just saw something I wanted to paint there on the, I don't even know if it's on there. This was bothering me. Sometimes I'll paint and be like, I don't like it. It needs to be lighter there. I don't like the little spot. It'll bother me, my OCD, too much. Okay, so again, working the ship painting to the left. You know, you want to study your piece a little bit. Be like, okay, what kind of ship are we dealing with? Is this something that you know? Is it that is? I'm at a loss for. Is it an actual ship that I've seen, or is it a class of ship? Okay, is it a class of ship that I've seen? Okay, and when I say class, meaning there's many that are that size, and they do what that does. Okay, by doing what it does, I mean, what is its purpose in the water? What is its marine function? This is iced tea mixed with like some fruit punch. I like that. I never tried that before. It's good. Gotta have a drink. Water at least when I'm painting. I don't realize how dehydrated you get. So these windows, I want to point out, we'll start with some windows. Why don't we do that? Because I think that'll be a ton of fun. I could make my life a lot easier in this stage using some acrylic paint to do the windows, but I have some outline in there. I gotta count them first. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it looks like am I odd? In the middle, there's a middle window and then 3. So the reason I say that is I'm like, well, that matters. It's architecture, numbers, and this time around, I gotta just kind of make sure I'm knowing where I'm going with this is planning, and that's why I love these type of pieces. Like I said, is the planning aspect of it. I'm just kind of darkening that little center glass. I'm gonna have to go back over that again. I'll probably use some acrylic for the panes, the lines on there, and I gotta get a new brush. I think for this I need something very chiseled. Gotta clean it. This is very chiseled. See that there? Very nice. Clutch word. So another clutch word. You're like, F.A., what's going on with you, bro? I just barked, sorry. That was a drink. Hope you didn't hear it. So and it lost my thoughts. Maybe I edit that part out. Maybe it's funny, I don't know. The panes of the glass, you want to get that filled in first. So you don't want it all even light. And I kind of created a little bit of a fun yellow and orange here. So I'm just going to kind of work in this orange first. Okay, and I can see where my bottom is there. I want the orange to kind of blend bottom down there. What I might mix in too is a color called Venetian red. Just a little bit of Venetian red as I mix it in to darken the bottom aspects here. Even on one of my paintings, I was doing another ship, the guy's like, your light's too even on the windows at the back of the ship. I'm like, well, that happens because when you're working it layer by layer by layer, and I'm glad you pointed it out because I just didn't get back to it yet. I'll set it in very evenly at first just to block it in. So a lot of people just don't understand what blocking means, what you're doing. You're just filling in the color. A lot of this can be said to be quote unquote blocked in now with oils and acrylics. If you look through earlier pictures on my page, you can kind of get an idea of the earlier stages where a lot of this was once acrylics and it was just blocked in. I need to know where it's at because I'm not just free painting all this. It's all very orchestrated, very planned, as precise as I can make it. So I'm gonna just kind of do this orange in there and paint for about 5 more minutes, just kind of showing you. And once this window's done, and this episode, putting a little bit more of that Venetian red in there. And another color you can use a little bit of, if I have any on my canvas, is burnt umber. I have a little bit of burnt umber on here, and it's just a little bit of brown just to think about where the light's coming from. Now, I would think in these ships, a lot of the light is in either side pieces, side candles or lanterns, or top things that hang, so that because of the ship rocks and stuff, you have to be very careful with these things. They don't want to cause a fire. So they'd be hanging in such a fashion back there as to prevent fires on ships. Bad thing to happen. So I would think most of the light is coming from the side angle and then up top. Okay, so now we're going to go back into this yellow up here and break up this light. I gotta stand up, my friends. Gotta stand up. Again, because we have black paint under here, we're just going straight on oil, and we're gonna have to blend ever so carefully, and probably add in a little bit more with the oranges, because we'll lose a little bit of the orange as the yellow blends in there. And the whole thing here is just to get the color. Isn't that nice? Just glowing in the back of this ship. This is where things will become homier, and I feel like that whimsical attribute of the shipyard, that there's people inside these ships, there's actual life. We'll do an episode with a few people too. We'll have some characters. Those will be the last thing to do, and I might spend my time start a new piece and just work in a few characters here and there, because you don't need a whole ton of characters out here. I would like to say it's really early morning. I don't know, super early in the morning. People just starting the day. Cold out, but still it's near the ocean. Kind of that general ocean breeze coming through after a nice rain at night. Early morning rain storm. That's how I envision this piece. Could it be evening? Sure. But what side of the ocean are we on? Sun sets in the west, rises in the east. Maybe is it looking towards the east? Don't know. It's not a real place. It's a place in my mind. And that's what I've talked about before. Art, in many ways, is about communion between the artist and the viewer of the art. A communion of souls, communion of the minds, communion of the hearts, where you get to enter into someone's world. Whether it's abstract, realism, whatever it is, impressionism. And this is my world, and I wanted to make a world, and I'll do another world one day, but this is a 3-month endeavor, consuming art work that kept me from commissions and various things, but it was perfect for this series because you need some continuity. Like I said, you got to come back with your oranges. If you're going to do a longer series, I could do different things each one. That's all good. But in this case, there we go. Probably come in with another brush there. I got a lot of junk on this little chisel brush. If you want to use like a little feathery brush, one of these. It's an acrylic brush, but it still works. I'm just going to go back over a few spots and just kind of work this. I'm going to have to go over with the black again, like I said. I'm going to have to add a little more white. I'm just kind of blending the uneven, because like I said, I don't want it to be all even. If it's all even light, then it would be like a flashlight back there. It's not. It's internal light. It's the inside of the ship. Maybe pulling a little bit of yellow ochre in there. Shadowing a little bit more over here. Shadowing a little bit more over here on the edge. Okay. Bringing a little bit more yellow in here. And this is just a lemon yellow, really bright yellow. I guess cad yellow right actually here. You can even bring some down a little bit, like maybe there's a spot in there where it's just like so. And right there. And we are done for today. And to end off, just showing you another little bit right here. Focusing in on the piece, that this has been fleshed out on the left, detailed to some extent. Like I said, I want to touch up quite a bit here and there, but that cobblestone road, oh my gosh. That was the beast in this project, but you can kind of get a good glimpse as I spill all my drink on the floor. Lovely times. Okay. I look down, I'm like, and it's red. Gotta clean the carpet. That gives you a good look right there. Again, I said this before, focus on being the artist you were meant to be. Had to go, have to go, and so long. See you next time.